No, I'm good. Let's see here. I'm just trying to figure out what. Okay, it's showing us live.
Oh, I'd like to share it out to my page.
Yeah. So just go to my page. You can share it here. We got one person in the house. We're live on.
And we get 2.
We're live on 6 platforms. Let's see, make sure everybody's on. Yeah, we're on YouTube, Facebook pages. Back to chat. Hey Tammy, what's happening? 21 people in total. Let's see here. Yeah. So I'm going to turn that on.
Would you like another one?
How would you like another one? That was you. All right. Good morning from Berlin. Gaia Man's in the house. Valentina, Angel Divine. Welcome, everybody. It's been a while since we multi-streamed. We're still in Sedona. And we actually did a live from my phone the other night at these 2 beautiful sisters' house. And we had a great time. There was a bunch of orbs. This beautiful beloved sister was playing some mean guitar. And anyway, so when we were talking to him, we decided that we needed to come over here and explore her guitar genius and Shey's artistic genius. This painting behind me, we'll get to that in a minute, was actually produced by little dots, believe it or not. So we decided, Morgan kind of put it together and said, why don't we come back over, spend a little bit of time with Valerie, a little bit of time with Shea, and then a little bit of time talking to the both of them at the same time. Exploring their genius and their journey, and here we are. So it's good to be back on the multi-stream. It's been about 18 days since we've done it. We can see the comments. They're all coming up here. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming in. I know it's late night for us, but we're happy to be here. So this is Valerie, and Valerie is an exceptional guitar player and artist and soul. And he says, what a smile, Valerie.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Soul Speaks 5D is very, very casual, very much a conversation. It's not a typical Q&A. We just have a conversation, so you're welcome to ask questions as well. But this is a good opportunity for everybody to get to know you in our community. We got about 80,000 hard numbers that are actively engaged every week. We've got a reach of about 2 million a month, which just means it pops up in front of somebody on their YouTube or on their Facebook. About 20% of our, those people that get that engages for the month. So we're very blessed in regard to that. We just met. We don't know each other. This is typical soulogy style, but
we don't know each other well.
We did
spend a little time the other night. And I can see from tuning in that your community is really very vibrant and full of love, and everybody shares something special. So I'm really honored to be here with you.
Right on.
I really am.
So when did you wake up?
Oh, boy. Well, little bits along the way. But I would say, you know what? It's very funny. It's when I saw the Shirley MacLaine movie. I think I was about 27 years old.
Would have been the 80s.
It was in the 80s.
Yeah. Out on a limb.
Out on a limb. I was sick in bed, and I saw that movie. It was on, and I just got chills from head to toe. And I said, oh, my God. And it prompted me to ask and seek, and just went on from there. And I was always into music before that, but I really wasn't making the connection between spirituality and mysticism, and metaphysics and music.
Well, I remember that movie, and I really liked it. But I didn't understand the part at the time when she was on the beat saying, I am God. I didn't get it.
A lot of people didn't. I think she got a lot of raised eyebrows about that, but I think it was very courageous.
Right on. So, and then where does the music come into your spirituality?
That's also been an unfolding journey because the music was something that always, it just came very naturally, and I didn't question it. I didn't really understand it, but I felt like I was swimming in it all the time, and it unfolded. And I thought that music was a way of sharing and connecting with other musicians and other people, and a way of bringing joy. And it wasn't until later in my journey, when I was doing music for parties and creating music. I had a band, and I started a company in New York. It was live music for private events, a lot of big weddings and big charity balls and big fancy parties. And I didn't realize that the music the way that I was approaching the music, I was tuning into the crowd to see what they might want and what might be soothing or inspiring or uplifting or healing, without really knowing what it was about. But I was told in a reading, I had a reading, I guess it was a psychic reading, and the person that I was with said to me, you're doing the healing work. You just need to put a little bit more intentionality into it. Before you play one note, no matter what it is, no matter if you're sitting around, if you're home with friends, if you're at a big event, whatever you're doing, tune in to the vibe in the room and put some healing intentions in, and use the music, because the music is a force. And I didn't know that before, but I realized that I guess I kind of knew that all along. So then I started doing it with a lot more intentionality. And before any performance, before any note, there were prayers, and there was a prayer to, be open and to open to these things, and to let it move through me, and to connect with what might be of service, what might be of benefit for that time. So, but still, my music career, I was really in the event industry, and my whole spiritual path was more private. It was more of my own private journey. And it wasn't until I started creating music in the recording studio like this, which is from one of my albums, that was really meant to open, and it was meant to, to be of service in that kind of a way, that I realized that the paths were kind of converging. And then from then on, it was all really one big music, spirituality, healing, intention, love. It was really all. Right on.
So what we're listening to right now is yours.
Yes, this is from my album, Healing Music, Volume 2. And later, when Shey and I are on together, we could talk about the way that the music and the art have infused together to, I think, strengthen both of our artistic endeavors. But yeah, this is a piece. I should have my CD in my hand to show it to you, but I'll get it later.
Yeah, we'll get it later.
Yeah.
We do everything kind of just
spontaneously.
Rough.
Yeah.
We're not not a lot of spit and polish here, but it seems to work. We seem to be doing all right. So this sounds like almost like a sitar.
I have sitar on here. I love blending worlds, east, west, funky stuff, mellow stuff. And my musical journey, I call it still, chill, thrill. So there's music for every category, which corresponds to every state of being. So this is more, it's kind of music to journey on, music to kind of be a guide, to kind of go inward and experience our own inner landscape. But I have sitar on here. It's an Indian string instrument. I have bansuri flute. It's a wooden Indian flute. I have kora, which is African 12-string harp.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, the kora is so beautiful. My friend Tom Rossi plays that, and Stephen McNamara played the sitar, and a lot of percussion and a lot of hand-on-skin instruments, just to really, and of course, a lot of guitar and electric guitar and synthesizers.
Did you ever listen to Mike Bloomfield?
Yes.
East West?
Yes, yeah. Of course.
It reminds me of it.
Thank you.
So you got the still, chill,
thrill. Okay, so that is what
You told us that the other night. So when you do a show, is that what you do? You go from still to chill to thrill?
Still to chill to thrill, right. So still is music for meditation. Chill is music for activation. And thrill is music for celebration. So I could explain those a little bit more. Yeah. But really the idea is that because I was only doing thrill music in the past. It was dance music. It was party music. It was, up-tempo, uplifting songs, positive message. But what I realized when I started working with music for meditation, I realized that if we can get still and connect, the reason that we meditate, which is to get in touch with our inner oneness and inner divinity, that if we go to that place before we do anything, everything has more meaning, everything's more empowered and enlivened. And so I realized that I wanted to, also the meditation music albums are the ones that are on the radio and on Pandora. And so I started to get known for that kind of music. Yet I still had this fun desire to rock out and to play music for dancing, because dancing is moves the energy, and it's very ecstatic, and it is for celebration. So the still chill thrill. So when I do a Groove into Bliss concert, it takes the audience through those different states. It starts with something very meditative and mellow, like even we did the other night when you were here. We started with that vibrational music and the sound healing, and then by the end we cranked it up and we're playing music not only for dancing, but music that has positive messages, words that are meaningful, words that have vibrations, but that are still up tempo. And so it's fun. It's not just, it's not just entertainment, and it's not just fun, but it is all music to help us on our journey.
Right on. Candace Graham's a friend of mine. She's a guitar player. She says she loves.
Oh, thank you.
She
Thank
loves your
you.
music. Yeah, she loves
Thank
your
you.
music. So now, in terms of like your journey, in terms of your awakening, your expanded awareness, have you had? I know a big part of it is the music. What about in terms of like your individual experience? In terms of angelics, galactics, elementals, anything like that. And of course, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
But what's your journey? I'm just curious because the music's involved. Have you had any specific contact in regard to your music from the other side of the veil?
That's such a great question. And I think that, I guess I would answer that and say that it's been subtle. I think I haven't had the kinds of experiences where it's very clear what's happening. I've been very drawn to Sedona for 30 years more. About 30 years I've been coming here back and forth. And from the first time I came here, I experienced that. Well, from the first time I heard about Sedona, I said, does that place really exist? And I was called here, and I felt that I would somehow, and it was true, get closer to things I didn't understand just by being in the energy here. Right. And when I would come here, I would have experiences where I was, how could I explain it? I was just in a state of knowing, just a state of knowing, and I would get fueled for the next phases of manifesting in my life. And I would come and I would spend a lot of time out in Boynton Canyon and Long Canyon up at Rachel's Knoll. And I would go into a lot of deep meditation and for days in a row, and I would get ideas about what the next steps might be in my life. And then I would go home to New York, and I would, for the next 6 months, work on manifesting those things, and then I would feel the real pull to come back here. So I would say that journey has really been more just in a feeling place that comes out through the music. Yeah. And I've studied mind, body, spirit, psychotherapy, and just trying to impart from what I've learned, just very simple concepts of feelings and really just self-acceptance and self-love. So I guess those things are kind of human. They're kind of very 3D ways of feeling better. Yeah. In this paradigm.
But they're pretty important, aren't they?
Well, they're really important because no matter.
We can't spend all our time up there in the ethers, right?
Well, I suppose you can, but there is a balance, and there's a way that we have to live here.
So when you make something like this, what we're listening to, how do you put your intentions into it? Is it through prayer? Is there a lot of stuff that you do prior to, even before you create something? Yes.
Thank you for asking that. That's a really great question, and I'd love for people to know that, because it's prayer, it's sitting with my crystals, it's a lot of being out in nature. I live on a lake, and even before I lived there, I was very drawn to be out on the water and to be out in the woods and to be out in the mountains and in New York and of course here and in many places in the world. But I feel that I could feel this, an energy and a connection to the vibration of that's really what it is, to answer that question from before. What I connect to is the vibration of the universe, and I'm more of a rhythmic kind of a player and composer. I mean, I love to do ethereal sounds, but it's the rhythm that is the soul connecting place. I feel that, and then all the sounds are more, the rings around it, right. Or the fabric around it, but it's the rhythm. And can you bring me back to what the question was?
Well, like before you create something, before you create an album or even a song, do you go into a certain...
Yes. I always meditate and sit and ask. I pray, I ask, I create a space where where I feel that I'll have the best sort of connection for myself. And I think the intention of, as I've done this kind of music more and more, I've kind of honed the intentions that I'm looking for. It's the vibration of peace, the vibration of love, the vibration of oneness and togetherness, and a happy vibe. I want to feel happy, and so I want my music to make people feel happy. And so it's my intention, and I think that the intentions, because we're all energy and it's all vibration, those absolutely are infused in that music in a very, very tangible way. And I think and I hope, and it's my greatest hope, that when people hear that, they just feel good and you're like, oh, this is good. This is a good moment. I'm connected to my life.
Right on. So how long have you been playing the guitar, and how long have you been consciously intending your music?
I've been playing the guitar since I was 12 years old. Before that, I played a whole variety of instruments. I played the trumpet, I played the piano, I played the flute, I played the viola. But when I found the guitar, that was a very social instrument. And you could be in a band, you could rock out, and I was a rock and roll kind of guitar player when I was a kid. I guess I still am really at heart, rock and funk and jazz and everything. I always gravitated toward kind of funky music, and I had this recording studio, and on my own time I would sit at the studio and I would I was waiting to be sure. I was always in the state of asking because it didn't flow and come out. I couldn't just sit down and write 20 songs like some of my friends. I wrote some songs, but there were many years I would sit down at my studio and nothing really would come out. And one day I was in Sedona, and I went to a sound healing session with a practitioner named Annette Pearl, and I loved the work with her. And she said this one particular day, "What's your intention for our session today?" I said, without even thinking, my intention is to be open to whatever wants to come through. With the music, whatever wants to come through, I'm here to help, to birth that, and I'm asking for help and guidance. And a few days later, I actually went to an Abraham Hicks seminar, and I was very inspired, and it was very eye-opening. And I went home and I sat at the studio and I said my prayer, that same prayer that I had been saying and kind of coming up dry for years. And all of a sudden, this music came out, and I thought I was going to write some funky little lick and sing some stuff. This ethereal and lush, and I started putting layers on, and it had no rhythm, and I was like, what is this? And I sat with that for a few months, and then I sat down again, and I said the same prayer, and I asked, and I sat in silence, and then went with what came out. And it was, I had sounds that I had never heard before. Wow. And then I was drawn to start experimenting with crystal singing bowls. And I was in Sedona again, and I purchased 3 bowls from Crystal Magic, and I had them shipped home to my house and to my recording studio. And I started playing with the bowls, and kind of feeling the effects, the transformative effects myself. And I would kind of go into a really introspective state, and it was very, I felt like woo. And then the next thing that happened was I moved into a new home. and it was a spring, and 4 o'clock in the morning, these birds were outside my window, so loud, so much, sounded like a cacophony of birds, and I had never heard anything like this sound. They were all singing. They were singing together. So I decided to wake up early the next morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and take a microphone and hang it out the window and record these birds. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But as I was, I woke up really early. I set up my recording studio, took the microphone, hung it out the window, and I'm sitting and listening. And I got the idea to play my guitar along with the birds and have a dialogue with them. And I had to tune my guitar to a very unusual way to make it fit. Anyway, that was the third piece from that first album. That album was called Healing Music for Massage, Meditation, and Transformation. And this song, it was called, I called it Bird Song at Dawn. And what I realized that I was doing with that album was not only creating music for somebody lying on a table, like lying on a massage table, or somebody going into meditation, but I was intentionally creating music for the facilitator to get in touch with their own guidance so that they could have a more pure experience in their as the practitioner, as the healer. And so the album started to have that kind of intention, not just to be peaceful and for meditating, but for a whole journey, for whatever you might want music for. See, the music it's kind of a guide, and it's kind of a companion, and you can calibrate to it, because the energy, the vibrations in peaceful music is, of course, it's a slower vibration than music to dance to or exercise to, in which case you're going to want to calibrate up to that kind of a frequency. But if you want to be very still and go into a meditative state or deep relaxation, you're going to want to acclimate to the law of sympathetic vibration. Is you're going to vibrate to what you're putting in front of you. So that album was created very intentionally to create that kind of an environment for people. Then the next album, I started really generously adding rhythms, because I feel that the rhythm is what connects our soul, and kind of grounds us to the earth, while the ethereal sounds connect us to the heavens.
Right. So you create the rhythm riff, and then you build everything around the rhythm riff.
Not always. Sometimes it's that way. Well, I always play to a click. I always create, even when you'll never hear any rhythm. I do that so that I can sync things up and I could add things later. Because ultimately, I like anything to be able to have a full rhythm component for a particular different kind of use. Right. I may pull out all the rhythm and just play with the ethereal sounds. But if I was live in a group with people, I would add the rhythms, or have people playing percussion instruments or drums along with it. It's nice to be able to use the music that has all kinds of the same intentions, but use it for different purposes in that way.
How many albums have you made? I
have 3 albums and an EP. And the EP, I wanted to tell you about this because I have a friend, she just passed away at age 101 and a half. Wow. Her name is Tao Porchon Lynch, and she was from India and from France. And she wound up in my neighborhood, in my town, in a suburb of New York City, as a yoga teacher, after having been a model in Hollywood, and she has an incredible story. But she and I collaborated on some projects together, and she asked me to score music. Oh, that would be the 4th album. So she asked me to score the music and produce an album of her poems and meditations. And I did that, and she put it out as part of a book. Yeah. And I mean, she's so inspiring. At age 85, she became a competition ballroom dancer, and which she did for the last 20 years of her life.
Did I see an article on this?
Probably. She's in movies. There have been documentaries made. She's in the Guinness Book of World Record. And she's been in Sedona for the Sedona Yoga Festival. But when she asked me to, she came to my studio and I recorded her voice on her poems. She writes beautiful meditations. We have a lovely chakra meditation and a savasana meditation. And when we were finished with the project, I had all these tracks of these amazing words in her beautiful accent. Yeah. And so and after every yoga class, she would always say, Om Shanti Shanti Om, Shalom Shalom Shalom, Namaste. And I took that phrase that we had recorded and I put music to it, like a song. And then I went through and found her most catchy phrases, the phrases she said most often, and put them together over this music. So the piece is called Om Shanti Shalom, and I have a version of it with her voice on it, and then I have a version of it that's just instrumental.
Yeah.
And so that would be the 5th album. That's just the EP of that, because I made several different versions of it.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
wonder what that sounds like. Is this thing plugged in?
yes, we could definitely hear it. I will play it. Oh, it's so, I love it. Om Shanti.
So basically electric lead guitar
Yes.
following a poet's words, spoken words.
Yes, exactly.
I've heard that.
Exactly. Let's see if I can find it. And if I, oh, there it is. Okay. Here it comes, I hope. That was the instrumental version.
This is her.
Shalom, shalom. Namaste. And now this is a Bansuri flute. Oh, isn't that interesting?
It's all right.
Apple Music wanted to take over.
I wanted to show you something.
Yeah. It doesn't want to play all the way. It doesn't want to play. It's funny. It keeps going back to a piece I wrote for her called Dawn of Tao. And I wrote this for her for yoga. It's a 17-minute piece that builds and builds, but the tempo stays the same. It just adds, and I wrote it for her for a film she was doing on yoga, so that she could have the same piece of music through a series of vinyasanas.
So you're more than just a guitar player. You're actually a producer.
Yes.
You layer music together.
Yes. I produce music and compose and produce music in the studio, and produce live shows, live music of pretty much any kind of music. I have had very blessed to have so many talented artists and musicians and singers and dancers, and the band that I lead called the Starlight Orchestra has 15 to 18 people in it, and out of the 6 singers, 2 of them are choreographers, and it's a revolving 3-ring circus of performance and fun and love.
What's the name of it?
The Starlight Orchestra.
Do y'all still tour?
We play for private events. It's all private events, which of course there aren't any private events now, so we're on a little bit of a hiatus. But for 25 years I've been leading this band, and we travel all over the world and one-off. So it's when we do original music, we call it spiritual, because we're doing different kind of music and playing more for festivals and events. But for private parties, for a dance band, we're probably I'll say it's really awesome.
Cool, very cool.
Yeah.
You want to play something before we segue into Shey?
Yes, sure, I would. I would love to play something, and I'll play something, kind of on the meditative side of things. Yeah. I'm gonna just call something up here on my playlists. Yes, So I'm just going to play a little, something that I like to relax to. This is called Pink Skies, and it was inspired on my sunset evenings on the lake where I live. I always go out on my paddleboard, and I'm particularly connected to when the sky just has that show where it's pink and purple and orange.
Sounds a little bit like Van Morrison. That's nice.
There's a harp on here, and sitar, and guitar, and flute.
Somebody said very sultry sounds. I'll say it's sexy as capital AF.
Yeah, thank you.
Not too hard to get in the mood around here.
And that's just the still part. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you for
Very
inviting me to
nice.
play.
I can hear your influences too. Your blues and jazz.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of that.
Boy, you mix it in there. Very cool. So we're gonna segue to Shea, and then we're gonna come back. Oh wait, before we do that, and then we're gonna come back and talk to both of you. But
Thank you.
so these are three of your CDs.
Yes, that's the
This
newest
is-
one. That
this
one.
Healing Music, Valerie Romanoff.
That one won some awards last year. I'm very proud of.
Right on.
And you can find that on Apple Music and iTunes and Spotify and Pandora.
And you also have a website.
And my website, ValerieRomanoffMusic.com. That's the first album, Healing Music for Massage,
Massage Meditation,
and Transformation.
also known as Sexy AF.
And this is the album with Tao. It's called Reflections, the Yogic Journey
Oh,
of
I see.
Life.
Yeah.
And this was
This
her
is the one.
poems.
Yeah, this is the one we were talking about.
And there's a 17-minute chakra meditation, and there's a long Savasana meditation on there, and her lovely voice and her lovely words. I was honored to work on that project with her.
Oh, so Shey did the artwork on this.
Yes, that is
So Shey, her partner's about to come up here.
Yes.
This is her artwork. She told me a word the other night, and I can't remember the name of it. Was it Dottify?
Pointillism? Oh, yes. She's going to come
Pointillism.
talk about pointillism.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we're going to come back with Shey for now, and then Shey and Valerie are going to join us in the last segment. Here, let me scoot over. You good?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
So, everybody, welcome Shey to the program.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here.
So, what's it called? Pointify.
Pointillism.
Pointillism.
Yes.
So, all of your artwork is done by pointillism.
Well, actually, I cover a range of different mediums. So I started out as a sculptor. I now do some bronze sculptures. I was a stupa builder for many years. If anybody out there knows what a stupa is,
Right.
sacred Buddhist monuments that are.
So, you had something to do with the stupa here. You told me that.
I
Or
did.
you actually came.
I moved here to help build that stupa. It was a huge blessing and a wonderful opportunity. And if any of you ever have a chance to be a part of a stupa, take it. I got to be the arts director. I got to do the sculptural elements of the stupa, which was a great, great honor, and I feel forever blessed for that opportunity. But it was sculptures that started my journey, and now I exercise that with some. I actually have another stupa project coming up, but they don't happen often. But when they do, I feel very excited about it. But I also have a little line of jewelry, so I've taken the larger sculpture concept and shrunk it down into little pieces. But about 20, a little over 20 years ago, shortly after I'd moved to Sedona, I had a studio here, and I was in the studio one night, and it was late because I love working late at night. And I was just kind of storming around a little bit. I was like, how am I going to express myself? What is my voice as an artist? You know, I did this spiritual art. I have a bit of a background in all that we can get to in a moment. But I was really just kind of like, who am I right now? What am I expressing? And I got this message that I needed to paint big Buddhas, and I needed to paint them with little tiny dots. And I was like, that's crazy. You know, and I thought, what is that? But this, impulse just kept coming to me that this is what I needed to do. So I got a little wacky that night, and I started pulling out all these canvases and working out some drawings and tried to see what I was going to do. And I landed on a particular face that I was of one of the deities within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, which is what my background is rooted in. And I started this painting. Now, I had been exposed to pointillism. Golly, just so many stories are rushing into my head at one moment. What would be a better place to start?
That's good.
Maybe I'm going to start at the beginning of my own spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
Yes,
Todd?
that's perfect.
Okay, great. I did find, I often say that the first few decades of my life, I tumbled about a bit. It was confusing. I couldn't figure out how this place worked. You know, I'm an artist and a philosopher, and it just didn't make any sense to me until I intersected with my spiritual teacher, and that was at the age of 29.
Wow.
And she was the director of a Buddhist temple. She was a Western woman that was a reincarnate Tibetan master. And she just kind of picked me up and put me in her pocket and took me on this journey. About a year into it, I took ordination as a Buddhist nun. Little shaved head, burgundy robes, and studied very deeply with the community in the Maryland countryside. Wow. And it was at that point, it was then that I started learning about stupas. It was then that I began to study with Tibetans about their art. My spiritual teacher, I like to say she helped me give birth to my heart. And in there, I found the artist, I found the spiritual activist, I found the philosopher. It was a brilliant awakening moment. It was, I mean, I was like totally clueless at this particular time, but what I knew was I resonated with the truth of these teachings that were rooted in compassion, rooted in an intention to bring an end of suffering, rooted in the idea of living life with a kind of purposefulness. And so she really, my teacher, Jetsama Akinlamo, she directed me towards the arts. And she's like, "You're an artist." I'm like, "I am."
So you haven't done any art up until this point?
Not 100% true. I hadn't taken it seriously.
Yeah.
I hadn't done anything with any kind
So now
of...
you're 29, 30.
Yeah,
and you're,
right.
Okay.
I'm ordained as a Buddhist nun. I'm starting to, the world is starting to make a little more sense. I'm getting involved in sculpture, and I was dabbling with a little drawing and painting. So that was at the beginning of where I started to, feel into my heart. So when I moved to Sedona, I was still ordained as a Buddhist nun. I practiced that way for about 15 years.
Here. From 30.
From 30 to 45. At
Mm-hmm.
45, I put my robes down. Wow, what a shakeup that was. But that's a whole nother story. So with one of the things that my teacher had told me when she was first sharing with me that she felt like I had this art in me that would be of benefit to express, she said, "Don't go to school." She said, "Just play." And I thought that was the best advice I ever got. It was just play. And the result of what I do now the fruit of what I do now is the result of taking that instruction very seriously. But I did end up taking 3 classes. One was in design, one was in drawing, and one was in color. Color freaked me out. I didn't understand it. Why do they do what they do next to each other? And it was in that color class that I was exposed to pointillism.
Oh.
And when I was doing this little project, of course, I was ordained at the time. I was studying Buddhism and Buddhist art. And so I did a small Buddhist image. But what I realized was that each one of those dots is a distinct moment in time. Yeah. It's an intersection of time and space, and there's an invitation in there. What am I going to do with that? And I thought, and there's a practice in Tibetan Buddhism called mandala practice. It's an offering practice where you take simple substances, usually like rice or grains of some sort, and you're doing these prayers and you are envisioning just countless universes of offerings. You're offering precious substances, you're offering anything of beauty, of value, and you're just with an endless kind of mind, with a wish for all beings to find an end of suffering.
Yeah.
So when I realized that, I was quite intrigued by that idea. But now let's roll forward to when I was in Sedona, and I was having this evening where I was like, you need to paint these big Buddhas with little dots. And I realized there was a call in me to get really intentional with my art in that way, and to explore this concept of the pointillism and the offering through my art. And so I just began, and I thought I was crazy the whole time this first painting is coming together. I thought, this is nuts. What is this? But I kept doing it. The image was so compelling. It had these intense eyes, and it kept looking at me from off the canvas, and saying, "Go, girl!" So I kept at it, and then it was very well received. When the first piece was finished, of course, all I could see were my mistakes, but
people liked it.
People liked it. And then another one was commissioned, and then when I finished that one, I started another one, and there was a little bit of a bidding war over the piece on who was going to get that one, and that was, as an artist in a 3D reality, that was an exciting
That was here in Sedona?
Yes, that was here in Sedona.
Is there something with, like, because I've been to the stupa here.
Yes.
Right? And you're talking about the mandala thing with the rice or the grain. Is there something about the circle with Buddhism? Because I know at the stupa, you walk around it in a circle, and then you go to that prayer wheel, and it's a circle.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I wouldn't necessarily have thought of that in that particular way, but when I do think over the iconography, there is, you've got the mandala, which is typically circular, and you do have, like, the wheel of life is an important symbol, and we do recognize the cycle of life, and it is circular and cyclical. Even the death and rebirth part feels like it's circular. With the prayer wheels, it's that turning, it's that motion, and that coming back around that is pulls forth the energy, creates that energy. I found it
fascinating. When I did it. I did it twice. And you said too, you mentioned when you first found Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, and you made a comment about Tibetan Buddhism art. So is there a specific nature to Tibetan Buddhism art?
Yes, and thank you for asking. It's so beautiful, and it has informed everything that I do. The art in Tibetan Buddhism is created for spiritual purpose. It's I often say it's nice if it matches the couch, but it's not what it's created for. It is actually an embodiment of the enlightened qualities of the Buddha. Yeah. So very much like the stupa, the reason you circumambulate the stupa and you walk around is because you're honoring that, and you're keeping it on your right side, and you are honoring the presence of this enlightened mind, this enlightened energy. So the artists in this tradition train in their spirituality right alongside the training in the skills as an artist. And when you sit down at the canvas, it is a spiritual event. It begins with a seed syllable in the middle of the canvas. One envisions oneself as the deity, arising as the deity, invoking the deity. So it becomes an invocation practice and an invitation. And that's where I felt it was so perfect for each dot to be an offering.
Yeah.
So I'm beseeching the Buddha to be present in the world. I'm beseeching this energy to come alive through me, as me, into the world. And as an ordinary sentient being, an ordinary human being, it's always felt important to me to get out of the way and to really open to that spiritual possibility or that potential.
Yeah, I like that.
And so I've just found it so engaging to be present for that kind of work. Very intentional. And the practice then within Buddhism, with both your sitting practice as well as your creative practice, is then to, as you get up from your cushion or as you walk away from your easel, that you carry that sense of beingness into your everyday experience. Yeah. Now, the world can be very overwhelming. It can it shoot you off in different directions. It triggers different things within you, but the practice is what's key. And so for me, sitting down for long periods of time, my spiritual teacher, so grateful for the gifts that she brought to my life, because she knew I wasn't a big sitting person.
Right.
And even in our sitting practices, I was one of the chant leaders. So I was active. I was drumming and cymbals and bells and chanting,
Anything but staying still.
Right. Sitting still was not my strong suit. I do much better now, but still my mind is a bit of a monkey. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid. Even
it's like
after,
a communion or meditation, even though you're
absolutely. Yeah. And so then the idea is, can I do that as I walk through my life? Mm-hmm. And when I paint things that aren't the Buddha, can I bring that same recognition of sacredness of the moment into the work? So does it have to be a Buddha? No. Sometimes I paint butterflies, dragonflies. I love. I'm playing with some owls right now and having a whole lot of fun with them. And I like the language of symbols. And that was something I carried forth with me. I think there's an energy, a power, a language in art that slips past the intellect and just reaches right in the heart.
Yeah. I know we talked about Sherilyn when I was here.
Yes.
And I know she told me on many occasions when she was painting, she would have like real dimensional experiences or even visitations or, things to that effect. Do you find that happens with you? I know some of your paintings take a long, long time. The one upstairs took a year.
Yes.
But, do you have those type of things happen to you? I know you carry the frequency of what you're doing, or you attempt to, into your daily life.
Right, I attempt to.
Yeah. Well, we all do.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's a practice. It's a practice.
But, do you have things, epiphanies or revelations or anything come to you?
Here's what happens for me. One, I find myself in a space of communion. So I'm in a space of communion with what I would like to think is the divine, and I feel that resonance. And then depending upon the imagery that I am relating to or connecting to, it changes, it affects, how am I going to say this? Like I was commissioned to do this very large medicine Buddha. And during the process of that medicine Buddha, I was finding physical things in my body that were exposing themselves and helping me to understand my own healing and my own health better. Yeah. So there are, it's almost like a purification process, because you're melding with the imagery and or the energy of what's present. And I could I'd probably speak better about it all, but
that's what I was looking for. You're getting, it's almost like you're creating a physical mirror.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And a vehicle through which I can see outside myself also and have it be reflected back to me.
It's multifaceted.
I love art for that reason. It's a language. Yeah. It speaks. And the idea of creating something that then holds a vibration that goes out into the world. I've had many people will ask me, how can you sell something after or how can you even, share it with someone else when you've spent so much time on it? And I don't paint them for me. I paint them for you.
There you go.
I paint them for whoever it is, but I'm doing that in the moment, just letting it go. And
somebody mentioned they saw your works last June at the Joe Dispenza weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I had the opportunity. I've had the opportunity several times to speak at those events, and um, and most of the time I'll have some artwork there, and and that's really quite fun. It's a beautiful crowd of people. Joe Dispenza's peeps are right up my alley. They get what I'm doing. They understand energy, and they understand that kind of focus and movement and intentionality.
So when you talk to people like at an event like that, like a conference like that, are you talking about energy? What do you typically talk about?
It depends on where I'm standing. Oh, like when I'm on the stage, when I'm speaking from the stage. That year, I really was focusing on, I have a topic I like to explore called small acts of immeasurable benefit. And that's born of the idea that all these little dots add up to something unexpected. So I am certain that the small actions that we take in our lives matter.
Yeah.
And so that's a subject I like to explore.
I like that.
In that particular time, I was had a sustainability panel also. So I did a bit of a talk on sustainability, our responsibility to the planet, the idea that small actions can add up to great change. And then we did an interview with a panel of some local change makers and discussed, again, some of the things that we can each do to catalyze a healing of our planet and even healing among ourselves.
Yeah.
And then I often will lead a guided meditation, and usually underscored nowadays with Valerie's music, and it makes it's a wonderful experience. At least it is from my side. I'm kind of hoping it is from the audience side. But
Well, you do a lot more than create these masterpieces. This is one of them here. Now, this is a print, you said? Is that
yes,
what
this is a giclée. This piece was blown up. The small piece is about 34 inches. I do have the original. It has been on an very interesting journey, and she has found herself back in our care here in Sedona. But this is Mother Tara, Angel of Peace, is the title of the piece. And she is available as a giclée. This happens to be 6 feet tall. I do it in a variety of sizes. They can be small. Probably the most popular is the 18 by 30 inches because it's kind of easy to fit in people's homes. But the larger ones do have some drama.
That's some drama.
They have some drama. I love a little drama, a little theater in life, right?
So, and how do people find how do they find your artwork?
I have two main ways. If you're in Sedona, I highly recommend that you visit the Goldenstein Gallery at L'Auberge de Sedona. And we have a rotating display there. I have some sculpture in their Peace Garden, as well as
So you still do sculpture too?
art hanging there. I do. I have some dreams of some larger peace projects that I would like to do. So that is I'm gearing up for that. But it's a fun idea, and you can participate. So keep an eye out. And the Goldenstein Art website is a great place to visit. But also my own website covers a broader scope of all the things that I do. So that is sheyglobal.com. That's SHEYGLOBAL.com. And there you can learn about some of the meditation and mindfulness things I do. We just finished a month-long peace project, Follow the Peace Trail. There's some details about that program, and that program will be continuing through the next few months with some monthly activities, and then the jewelry and the sculpture and the paintings and things.
So everything can be kind of found there.
Greeting cards, bookmarks,
Wow.
gifts, shopping cart on there.
You're full of surprises.
I thought I was just a dot girl.
Dot girl.
I get excited about life. Life is so full of possibilities.
So we have 3 interesting things we're getting into tonight. We've been through 2, and then there's a third one. You know, there's been a lot of talk in 2020 about the frequency of sacred union, divine union, sacred sexuality. You know, there's a lot of different makeup to that. You know, we've had a lot of people on this show, and there's just a huge variety. In fact, we met a very powerful couple 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago that are brothers. They're not blood brothers, but they carry the same frequency of sacred union, divine union, and it's non-romantic. So, I mean, there's so many fascinating stories. We hooked up with a lot of them here the other night when we came. There was a lot of that energy. In fact, you guys popped into our field the next day, I think, both of us separately. We both said to each other, hey, did they pop in your field? And yeah, y'all did. So it's a powerful thing, and it's happening, and it's starting to surface in the world. So I don't know if you guys want to chat just a little bit before we cut out of here about your connection, how you came together, and also...
and we create together.
That's what I was going to say. One of the things that... one of the things that...
Stand in the middle, it's fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah, one of the things that's, come to the surface, as my beautiful, beloved oracle, priestess, shaman has been telling me for years, we're going from duality to trinity. And a big component of that are these sacred connections, which create a third energy.
Exactly.
Ours is multifaceted like yours is, but part of ours is soulogy. And yours, you guys have your own artistic individuality, but you're also merging that now, and that third energy is starting to take hold.
Yes.
So what are some of the projects that you guys are working on together?
Well, we just finished the music, the meditation, the inspiration, the art. It's always been my dream to be able to share all of that because I feel like all of those modalities, they reach in, and I don't see myself as sort of a lecturer, it's more like, let's get some color and dance and movement. So we just finished a really fun project. So we thought, first when we got together, we were like, should we work together? We gotta be partners. Do we want to work together? And it was just so compelling. It just kept happening. It just kept coming up and happening. We did try to resist it a bit, but it didn't work. But anyway, we just did a Peace Day music festival, a Groove and the Bliss Peace Day music festival on the International Day of Peace. And what we did, it was a live stream event, and it was 5.5 hours. And Valerie is an amazing music producer, and she gathered all these artists, and we invited some speakers to come for the top of the hour. We had some guided meditation, and we had some videos, some live performers. We had a musician in from Russia that streamed in with us. And we did this, what we felt like, and it seemed to be received as, a really fun event that brought together all kinds of energy. We had art on the backdrop, and we had all these different facets going on. So we also, there's that other CD over here. Thank you. I've been recording some guided meditations, and we have, this has Valerie's music on it, as well as 2 guided meditations. And that is also available, I think, on my website. Actually, there's a free download on there for one of those meditations. So for a bedtime meditation. And we have plans to do more of those kinds of things. But why don't you talk about, we were recently invited to do a program on the Awake TV.
On Awake TV, yes. We were invited to do a show together. And Amanda said, well, what do you want to do? And you and I we're currently, we're talking about, because music and art are both infused with the energy and the intentions, and they're different mediums, but they're very connected. And what I want to first talk about is how this came to be.
Okay.
This is my album, and you'll notice the beautiful Buddha painting, the Medicine Buddha on there, and that was a painting that Shey was painting. So when we first got together, you were finishing up this painting, and I was finishing up this album.
Yes, that's right.
And that was so fun. And so,
in our studio.
In your studio, I would come and, listen to the day's work. And I would put it on, and I would play along with it. And you were working, you were painting, I have videos of you sitting in front of this painting, like looking at it, and listening to the music. And so the music from the album was infusing Shey as you were working on the painting. So I like to think that the music was infusing your painting. And I was still working on the album, and I was in the presence of the painting. And so the energy from the work was going into the music.
Yeah, that's what I visualized. I visualized y'all were like in a place like this, like a garage.
Yes, more studio, yeah.
She's painting, and you're playing,
and that's how that happened. And I think you're right. We did try to resist it a bit, but it just keeps coming back because we're so aligned, and we have what we found, and I think this is what really solidified our connection in the beginning, is that we have maybe different language, but a similar mindset, a similar message, a similar desire, and a similar intention. Absolutely.
And to have fun doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that whole thing that my first spiritual teacher said, just play, that has so resonated for me. And so in what we do, we play. And we've done some live events where we have guided meditation and we have music. We do the whole still, chill, thrill sequence, little speaking in there.
Now, when y'all met, did something click right away, or was it a graduated, evolving situation?
That's a good question. Well, we met at an event. We were both part of an event. We were both presenting. I was playing in a band. I was playing in somebody's Valerie Iron Sanjali, her CD release show, which was part of the Woman Arising conference. It was a weekend event, and Shey had her art on display, and you were presenting a little sculpture, one of your small pieces, to Sarah McLean. She was the honoree as an award. And I walked in.
I should have brought one of those in.
Who busted the move?
That'd be me. That'd be me.
I would have been too. I was too freaked out.
I had to follow
her
looked
around
at her
for
a while,
and I knew something was up. I looked right at her, and I just kind of was, uh-oh.
Can I share that story, or maybe you could share the story that is sort of personal a bit, but that you had said years ago, you had said to a friend, "Why doesn't anybody ask me out?"
Right.
And your friend said to you, "Because you're kind of intimidating." And you said, what did you say?
I said, well, that's just crazy. I said, I want a woman that could just walk right up to me and be perfectly comfortable in my vibe, you know? And
there I was looking up at her, 6 feet tall.
And is that what you did?
Yeah.
You just walked right up to her and said, "Hey."
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. Who are you?
Yeah. Well, and then we didn't see each other for months, and because I had to fly out early the next morning to get back to New York for an event. And then a few months later, I came to town, and I had just gotten in, and I was real tired. And Sarah McLean was having it was a book release dinner.
Yes. And
I was invited to go, and I said, "No, I don't think I can go. I'm too tired." And then I said, "Something's telling me to go. I think I better go." I'm totally going. And then I walked in, and I was late, and there was this whole long table of people, and there was one chair at the end of the table open, and it was right next to Shey.
Go figure.
And I said, wow, okay.
That's the third energy for you.
That's right. It really did compel that.
Yeah.
It really did just call that forward.
But when I learned that night that Shey had such a big hand in the art of the stupa, I was blown away, because that's a very sacred place for me. And I've been going there for years in prayer and meditation. And I will say some of that prayer was really to find my true connection, my divine partner. And, and I'm going around the stupa and, just mesmerized by this. And when you told me that you had sculpted that Buddha up there and done all that. And then I asked you, and a few friends at the table had never been there. And I asked, would you take us there and give us a little tour and tell us from your perspective. So we did. We met a few days later. And when I heard her speak, that was it. I said, oh boy, I'm in trouble. But the collaboration has really been amazing and continues to be. Like tomorrow, for example, you're going to be on my show. I have a show called Groove into Bliss. It's on Awake TV and it's on Facebook. And it's Groove into Bliss, musical meditation and more. And so I do the still, chill, thrill. We start with the music and the meditation, and I kind of will give some ideas of how people can use the music and direct their attention. And as the time goes on, the music sort of goes a little bit more up in the energy. And by the end, it's a little bit of a dance party.
Shaka Khan.
Absolutely. Yes. You should see, because there's some great songs. And then some of my starlight singers, will come on. And I started, after about a month of it, I started having a guest each week. And
I get to be the guest tomorrow.
Shey is the guest tomorrow. And we're broadcasting from Shey's studio in Sedona, because usually I broadcast from New York, from my place. So that I'm very excited about tomorrow.
What time is that?
It's 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Right.
And it's for an hour. But the Peace Day Music Festival was really interesting because we co-hosted, but you were here and I was there in New York. And we had a really great tech team. We had Levi and Alex and Dan over with me, and they set up, I mean, it looked like a television studio. There were monitors everywhere because we were doing, an OBS and a restream, and we were coming, because we had people streaming in from Russia and from India and all over this country, and then we had videos, and you were here, and so we had the Zoom room where there was a whole backstage green room, and we had a lot of the artists that were on there with us.
Performers and speakers.
Oh, in the Zoom room.
In the Zoom room.
You couldn't see them on the feed.
So you're truly virtually created.
We did, and we were talking together in between, because when the videos came on, we had a few minutes to, there was a little backstage time, and we could talk and make changes to the schedule, and it went really well.
You did a great job. She was masterful, because things always come up. The tech guys did a great job. That was super smooth, but there was timing things that needed to be changed. And Valerie's like, okay, we need to move this here, and we'll put this in here, and we'll put this, and can you go on right there? And
I have a lot of experience in troubleshooting in the live scenario, because live production is, you never know what's going to happen, and you have to be prepared for everything to go wrong.
And you got to be cool.
And you gotta be cool.
You gotta stay cool.
When
I first started and something to go wrong, I'd freak out and ruin the whole show.
Right.
But now it's easy,
because you know that it's all going to work out, and if it doesn't, you just have to be a little patient. And I have to say, I really want to commend you that I know that when Shey did a month of events for the Peace Trail. That's your project, to follow the Peace Trail for the month of September, to raise the awareness of peace in our hearts, peace in our world. And you did many broadcasts. You probably did about 20 of them.
Yeah, we had midweek metaphysics where we talked to energy healers, and I'm going to continue that in the months to come. We had a conflict resolution strategist who came on and gave a presentation and talked to us about things that we could do for our time right now, like where do our biases come from and how can we overcome that. We had another woman that took us through a creative writing and drawing workshop. They were creating an inner peace garden, something we could carry with us through time. We had an opening day. We did self-love workshop meditation. And then there were programs for some kids. Oh, yeah, for young children, and then another program for teens. And then on the closing day, we did a despacho ceremony. And I had the beautiful opportunity to lead a guided meditation over top of the building of the despacho. And the people at the sanctuary at Sedona, that's who hosted it, and they are masterful in their ceremony. They are generous in what they offer, and it was beautifully done. It was a really wonderful way to close this month-long set of activities. So it followed the Peace Trail on our Facebook page. It's followed the Peace Trail.
And then we thought we were done for a while, but then we heard Amanda was coming to town, and we hosted the party. And then the next night there was another party, and we met you guys. And it's just been a whirlwind.
That's how it works.
It's been a whirlwind.
Can't make this shift up.
Absolutely. That's really what it feels like. A lot of shifting going on.
Yeah, and the shake up is a wake up.
We just put that in a lyric. Shake up is a wake up.
Yeah. Write one for me. Shift or get off the pot. A blues song. We'll do a blues song.
Okay, you got it.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Shift or get off the pot.
That'll be the hook. All right. Well, it's been an honor. Thank you for honoring us with your presence.
Oh,
thank you for
sharing
having us.
space with our community.
Thank you all for coming by.
Yes.
This is a little bit different for us, but I really enjoyed it. And you guys have a lot of power and a lot of wisdom and courage. And love.
And just a real wish to bring some benefit, a real wish to uplift people at this time, to hold a space for a peaceful possibility in our world. I believe with all my heart we can live in love with each other. I believe peace is possible. And I believe it begins with the choices that each of us make, And so that's our hope, my hope, wish for our work and for all we do. The thoughts, the words, the deeds, may they all align for that purpose. So,
It starts with one, then you create the other one, and then the third energy comes into
Yes.
play. And that's what y'all are doing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Todd.
Appreciate
very
you.
much.
Yes, we appreciate the work you do in the world.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
all
much.
y'all for popping by.
And you too, Morgan.
Morgan the unicorn.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Peace out, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, we'll be back doing something tomorrow, I think. I don't know. We'll just have to see. How do you turn this damn thing off?
Who knows?